Hello, I'm Gus Downing, publisher and editor of the D&D Daily, and this is the LP News Network. We're here today with Art Silva, the Director of Retail Operations for a major national specialty store chain. And today we're discussing Omni Retailing and how it's impacting the LP executives, both in the field and in the corporate office. And are we becoming LP Omni? And is LP merging long-term with IT security? Big questions to answer. With a BBA degree in Management Information Systems from the University of Notre Dame, Art started his career with Arthur Andersen in the technology risk consulting side and came into retail in 2001, managing a specialty store. Joining Ann Taylor in 2002 and LP in 2004 as an LP systems analyst, Art worked his way up the ranks and is now the Director, Retail and Field Operations, managing store operations, and with that, the Omni-Channel initiative being launched. With that, we'd like to welcome you, Art.
Thank you, Gus.
Art, my first question, with all the talk about the connected store and Omni Retail, can you talk to how that's impacting LP and how it's evolved now to Omni LP and what it really means to the field LP executive?
Absolutely, Gus. What I'd have to say is, if we really think about the evolution of where we've been and where we're going, we're using the term seamless retail even going beyond omni-channel. So if you think once upon a time you had a single store or even multiple stores, they all worked in silos. Eventually, a company might introduce a catalog or a phone ordering system, and beyond that, an e-commerce platform, but they all still worked very independently. At some point in time, we thought we'd try to integrate all of that into what we can now call omni-channel. But what you really have to think about is what the customer wants, and that's the true, fully seamless retail experience. I have a product that you want. How do I get you that product? You're not going to care how I get it to you, you want that. So we really have to think about the evolution of where retail was, retail is going. So for the Omni LP executive, we have to think about how we've evolved in the past and how we want to evolve in the future. Educating ourselves on truly what the customer wants, putting ourselves into their shoes, understanding what it is that they want out of the experience, and what we can do to help that and not hurt that. So opening up our minds and educating ourselves is going to be the first step. Now beyond that, that's really going to be about what your passion is. Your passion, what you really enjoy doing, that's what Omni will be. Because if you try to force yourself into what you think Omni LP is going to be, you're really going to be thinking about it in an old way versus how you really need to do it for the customer.
With customer touchpoints increasing significantly from buy online, pick up at store to same-day delivery, using the store as a fulfillment centers and online returns at stores, this is really creating more exposures for the store. How does that impact the field LP executives?
Well, it could. And I would say that in the future, we're going to have more touch points on the back-end systems than we will with potential theft. Because as you start to look at the full omni or seamless retail experience, there are so many data feeds that happen that I would venture a guess that you're going to see more implications to shortage happening on those ends than you will see on potential exposure points. And that's just my point of view, but that is where I see the biggest risk that we have with all of this. There are so many moving parts that we need to make sure that we're educating ourselves and partnering with those proper IT and store operations folks to make sure that we're all in alignment with where the inventory lies at any point in time so that we aren't causing unnecessary shortage, which ultimately will be at the expense of the customer who's wanting to purchase something, thinking that you have it, and ultimately you don't.
How do you see this evolving in the future? What should the LP executive be focusing on now to evolve with it? And is the Internet of Things a real game changer for LP in the field and at corporate?
Well, you just look to what your own experiences are as you're shopping. The Internet of Things is really making everything at your fingertips. Every device now becomes a touch point to be able to research, to be able to transact. Those are the type of things that we all have to be aware of that's coming. We have to open our minds again to saying, at one point in time, we thought we needed to have cameras everywhere, watch everything, or over point of sale, and when we didn't have those cameras over additional areas, that we had exposure. Well, in tomorrow's world, we have to really think about the fact that a customer can come in, want something off the shelf, leave, all the while bypassing any interactions. So being able to make sure that we know what is happening all along the way, the future of what our store operations are looking for, the future of what our IT departments are looking for, so that we can say, have we thought about making sure that the associate has the proper device in hand so they can handle all of these things to make that process very seamless for the customer without, again, making it any harder and losing the sales. So we all have to work in partnership on this, and Omni LP and the Internet of Things, I think there's a lot still to come on what that's going to be, and it will be up to us to define that.
As it relates to all of what we've been talking about and the increased, increasing crime wave, cybercrime wave, how do you view the relationship evolving between IT, security, and LP? And are we merging, and how far does that go?
Well, I've had this discussion with a lot of LP executives to understand what it was that they wanted when they said that they wanted to introduce themselves into this IT security. And with very few exceptions, many just see LP and IT security being very similar, and I don't. I feel that IT security is a very different ballgame, and it would be, I very often equate it to an IT security person saying that they're going to go ahead and take a Wicklander course and suddenly be able to sit down and interview somebody, right? And that's not the case. So it really comes down to, again, I'm going to say it again, education and where your passion is. I have an IT background. I wouldn't want to touch information security. It's a very specialized discipline that, while very important, is something I would rather partner with to ensure that we are protecting our brand and our company versus trying to understand what I could do to take that department over or eventually run that. So that's something that I see a lot of people feeling the pressure to combine the two. And I would say better than combining would be partnering, because if you truly are following your passion, you're going to find that you're very good at that. And eventually, if that's the correct path, that's what will come up. That's what will come of it.
Art, thanks for being here today, Art.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to thank you for watching. And until next time, let's keep them all safe out there.